Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the AI InterConnect podcast. I'm your host, Lauren. On this show, we sit down with founders and business leaders who are building companies that solve real business problems, and create measurable impact. AI InterConnect is where technology, entrepreneurship, and practical innovation meets through authentic conversation. And today I'm joined by Len Marcus, founder and CEO of e-labels, and e-labels helps retailers replace traditional paper price tag with electronic shelf label that simplify pricing, improve operation, and create a smarter in-store experience. And I just love it. Lane, welcome to the show. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Thanks, Lauren. Pleasure to be here, and thanks for taking the time and introducing me to your podcast.
It's a pleasure, and let's do that. Before we dive into e-labels, let's begin with your journey. Len, during our first conversation, something stood out immediately. You were not simply growing another software company. You made a deliberate decision to shift your energy towards a completely different opportunity. Len, how did your background in software development eventually lead you to build e-labels and focus on electronic shelf labels?
Good question. We have been in tech, so we've always been doing app development, software development. We still do this, but I sort of found a niche, and I found something that here in Australia and now offshore as well, there's something missing in retail. And I saw that there was a quite good, great opportunity for us to tap into this, and this being electronic shelf tags. And from development, we sort of took the whole team and what to do the integration. So there's software development with POS systems. So they did go hand in hand, and we sort of we touched on AI as well. AI was coming through the ranks, and as we see, it's playing a big part in our lives. And so same with AI with retailers, how they're doing automation, how they're doing out of stock, how they're doing purchasing. It's all going to be AI has some kind of impact. And like I said, I found a niche there that I believe need to be tapped in. That need to be tapped in. Here in Australia, we are very behind in technology. So we are finding Australia really taking advantage of electronic shelf labels. 26, 27 is going to be a big year. And we have a lot of inquiries through South Africa and now Europe. So I'm dealing with a lot of European counterparts looking for that edge.
Love it. I love it. At what point did you realize this market had a greater long-term potential?
Dealing with app development, and when you're dealing with tech, we get a lot of clients, and they've come up with great ideas, and you can see, yes, this is going to be a good one, this is going to be a bad one. And I inform my clients, yeah, it'll be a long journey, short journey. With this, I was traveling through Asia, and with Asia leading the way, I saw this. It's just like with holograms. I saw this hologram back 10 years ago. I thought, must have this in Australia. But it sort of sizzled out very quickly. But with this, with electronic shelf labels, supermarkets, we deal with liquor stores, we deal with pharmaceutical, we deal with furniture stores, bakeries. So the list is endless. It would be like the way I saw this, Lauren, was if someone told you now to go back, and now you've got a smartphone, and if someone went back to you and said, Lauren, the smartphone, it's rubbish. Go back to your analog phone, the old flip phone. You're going to say, I can't run a business like this. So this is what e-labels is. It's like having a smartphone. I can change, or the client can change their tags, the whole store, within 3 to 5 seconds. So there's no more printing, there's no more collating, there's no more, making errors. So all that's gone. Now, just the return on investment on some of these stores is 8 months, 8 months, 6 months, 8 months, 12 months maximum return on investment. So it's not as the customers, sometimes the retailers see this as a cost. And I say, no, it's not a cost. You have to look at it. This is an investment to your business because after 12 months, it's just sheer profit. So that's what led me into it. I thought it was a game changer, and it's not something that will phase in and phase out. It's not like the music industry where a song is popular today and next week it's gone. This is something that will stay on. You can you can run your inventory through when they do CPI increases. It doesn't take hours or days. It's done instantly.
Of
So
course.
this is a great innovator, and a lot of customers now see the potential, and they are knocking on the door saying, "I need this." So there's you have to be prepared. We have to scale a business correctly to accommodate the growth in ESL.
Okay. Yeah. That's how has your experience building Kwix help you with e-labels?
It helped quite a bit because I already had a team. I had a team of developers. I knew what I wanted. And because they are my team of developers, they're in-house developers, there wasn't any outsourcing. There was a little bit of R&D. But once we worked out the guts of what we had to develop and build, it was fairly straightforward. And that the reason why we're probably leading the ESL part here in Australia and probably offshore, we're getting a lot of inquiries is that connection between POS or point of sale systems or ERP systems and now e-labels is that bridge, that connection. We understand the mapping. We understand how we can map this. We can customize the mapping where a lot of our competitors, they struggle with that connection. They struggle with getting the mapping right, and then it trips over, falls over, promotions don't come through. So we've mapped it all correctly, and it's we don't want any issues. So the last thing we want is the troubleshooting. Of course, there's going to be teething problems, but we are customizing the bridge to each store, each industry, each business.
Yeah. One thing I appreciate about your business is that you're solving a very practical problem. Every retailer, as you mentioned, understand pricing, but very few think about how how much work sits behind changing a thousand of label every week. When someone outside retails ask what e-labels actually does, how do you explain the company and the value you create?
How do we explain it? I'll give you an example. Some of the larger supermarkets, they might have 10,000 SKUs. It takes them, Lauren, takes them 24 man hours. So they have 5 staff, takes them 5 hours, and they do this on a Wednesday for the bulk every Wednesday to change half their store tags. And then they've changed it. They change them daily, but in 100 here every day. But the bulk of it, half the store gets changed on a Wednesday morning, for example. That takes them 24 hours where this system, e-labels, ESL, that will change. You can change the whole store within 5-10 seconds and changing the POS and changing our tickets, not just changing the tickets. So with the supermarkets, when you explain that they can change it within 5 seconds, it's a non-issue, no brainer that they're going to say, I need this. The next hurdle is, of course, is the budget. Did they have they put this in the budget? That they might have 500 stores, so they have to work out how much is it going to take. Do they do it in sections in the store, or do they do the whole store? So the bigger retailers, to answer your question, I suppose in a winded way, the bigger retailers that they'll see the potential that they'll save on the store. They might save $40,000 annually per store. So to them, they can see the value. It is an investment and they can see the value. It's the medium-sized stores that still need to be convinced and need to tread carefully because their budgets are more volatile, so to speak, opposed to the bigger corporations.
Yeah. But how does an electronic shelf label system improve daily operation? And also, what are the ROI besides saving labor?
It's the main gist of it is saving labor. Driving, you can using ESL, you can drive customers to the actual stores in a way. When I go to my store, I can make the tags flash at a certain time. So I know my busy period. Let's say if I go into a liquor store, I'll go to a liquor store, and between after the husband's going home from work, he's going home, he has to get a bottle of wine for for dinner they're making, and the tag's flashing. It says buy two for half price. He's going to buy. So we've upsold him. He's bought two now. It's flashing, and this is a human, especially with the male brain, how it works. We see something flashing and we must have this. So I wasn't going to buy the white wine, but it's flashing. It says special, so I've bought it. So it does help the salespeople upsell. I can have a look where, look through there's QR code there, and then they can change regularly where the wine was manufactured. Like I said, then comes CPI increases when we do this. If the client has to do CPI increases twice a year, once a year, it doesn't have to spend hours adjusting all the pricing. He can just do it through his POS or ERP system, and the tags reflect his system, opposed to the system and then the paper tags, and he's made a keying error, and then he fixes it on the POS, but the tags are still wrong. This way, there is no mistakes. So here in Australia, where I reside, a lot of supermarkets or a lot of retailers, if the price is wrong on the tickets by our consumer law, you have to honour that price.
Yeah.
So if it's 18, let's say a bottle of wine is $18 and it says 12, I have to honour that.
Yeah.
So that's where they make or some stores might, in electrical, they might have, we will beat it by 5%. Okay. So if we'll beat it, if you can find a better deal in our competitors, we'll beat it by 5%. Then if you're buying a laptop at $3,500, if you're losing $150 per laptop,
Yeah.
that adds up.
Substantial. Of
So
course.
it's not just labor; it's where you're losing because your pricing is incorrect, and your staff is going up and down the aisles trying to find where Coca-Cola is, and they know where Coca-Cola. That's a bad example, but if you're finding a certain cheese, and I've only been with the company for 5 weeks or 2 months, I don't know where that cheese is. So I'll be going up and down. And then after a while, will I put this tag in the right place? And that's where we make human error.
And
We eliminate error and we save money.
yeah, and you mentioned drugstore and pharmacies, liquor store, supermarkets that are particularly good fits. Why and why not like a garment retail or clothing, maybe?
Yeah, you can. It just, all it means it's a different, they will have to adjust the way they price or the way they tag their garments, because we normally find with clothing garments, they're on a racking system. They're not on a shelf system where we put the tags on the shelf. So it'd be still a racking, but there'll be a price. These slacks for $35, $40 or euros. It'll be that whole rack, opposed to you can put on a shelf. But it's a matter of how you're going to display these tags.
Of course.
But it is all doable. Yes.
Yeah, it's doable. How much has a customer demand changed over the last few years?
Sorry, Lauren, you sort of broke up. How much?
How much has customer demand changed over the last few years?
For ESL?
I mean,
For electronic shelf labels?
the customer habits change based on yeah.
Dramatically, because the way us humans operate in this day and age, we want things now. We want things immediately. We don't wait anymore. It's just how we want news. We get the news immediately. We don't like to wait in queues. So if we need to get the pricing changed. Going back to ESL, we don't want to wait. Staff are starting to change prices at 7 a.m. So they're paying overtime early and they finish at midday, let's say, where now you can change it within, like I said, 5-10 seconds. You made that change. So a customer experience is very important. And like I said, we don't, people, us as humans, we lost our patience to wait in line, to wait for any kind of updates.
Of course. Many funders think building the product is the difficult part. In reality, scaling the business usually becomes even or much harder. Today, what feels like the biggest challenge in growing e-labels?
The biggest challenge for growing e-labels is its timing. So what we found is e-labels is a product. If you find a product that people want, then that's not the you that's half the obstacle. You overcome that obstacle. Now it's a matter of how you're going to market the product, because there's your competition. The competition comes up, but they haven't got the expertise, but they're undercutting you, and they're providing or they're selling an inferior product. And when that product fails, it leaves a bad taste in everyone's mouth. E-labels is no good, or electronic shelf tags are no good. They are good, but you've chosen a cheap, nasty product. And then on top of that, you've partnered up with a provider that doesn't care, that doesn't give you the service, the maintenance support. And that's very important. You need to have that IT partner that's going to help you grow your business and understand what you need, opposed to just selling. So I suppose to answer your question, electronic shelf labels is is in demand. So we are getting a lot of retailers call us, which is good. So that's the biggest problem is solved. So from a business point of view, it's just a matter of now controlling the business, how we grow, making sure we have the infrastructure in place, making sure we have the right team in place, and providing great service.
Of course. Is
Yeah.
is market education still one of the biggest hurdles?
The way I look at it, Lauren, is it's awareness. It's about branding who we are, and we get a lot of word of mouth. So customers that haven't gone to us, have gone to our opposition. After 8 months, 12 months, they come back to us because they haven't got the service, they've got the support, and that's what I was saying before. You need to just be honest. You need to be there for your client, and you need to listen to where their market is going, how they want to grow, and is this product going to help them grow? If it's not, then it's pointless to me selling them something it's not going to achieve their end result. So listening to what my clients require is the key factor there.
Yeah. How do you, and you mentioned it a little bit, but how do you convince retailers to move away from system they use for decades?
It's not that's not a big hurdle. They see the benefits. They can see the benefits. It comes back to their budgeting, to sort of say, okay, what will I receive for this? Will I get, what kind of support will I have? I say the return on investment is 8 months, 12 months, but a lot of them don't believe this. And I pretty much guarantee will be. I have a look at, I put it through our system. We have a calculator to work out, is it going to be 6 months, 8 months? And then I always like to put the worst case scenario. So if it's going to be 6 to 8 months, I tell them 12 months. And I show them how they can be more aggressive with their pricing and still be fair. So the biggest hurdle is this is new technology. So uh, they, they're trusting me to implement a new technology into their store, something they've done for maybe 20, 30, 40 years. It's a family owned business. So they might have done it, their parents or grandparents might have had this pharmaceutical business. So they've had this pharmacy for 20, 30 years. They don't know any better, Laura. So I have to show them how this system's going to work, and that this investment is going to pay itself off.
Yeah, I'm I'm very curious. How does the sales cycle differ between independent store and national retail groups?
They both once they come on board and they've done their homework and their budgeting, they all swim in the same pool. They do embrace ESL quite well. I think is that what you're
Y-
leading to?
Yeah, a sales cycle. I mean, is it faster to sell to an independent store, or and it takes like 6 months for a national group like
Yeah, yeah.
whatever
I,
Zara?
I know what you mean. Yes, I've you know what it is. I've had some clients inquiries 6 months ago, 8 months ago, and I'll see. Len, he goes, "Yep, I want this, but I'll call you." And I'm like, all right. I had a client maybe about 4 weeks ago. He goes, "Len, okay, yeah, I'm going to do it now. Send me the invoice and let's do it." And I sent the invoice next day. He paid. So from 6, 8 months ago, and I thought he won't do it. That he's not ready for this technology. Bang, he did it. So it's one of those things, that 80-20 split, where some customers do surprise you. When it's a bigger corporation, it might take a little bit longer because it's a bigger budget. We're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars to do, let's say, maybe 500 stores, opposed to a customer that's got 2 stores.
Yeah,
So it does, the budget of the numbers are much easier. But then, I've had one, he's had something like 120 stores and he's ready. He's gonna do it in sections. He's gonna do 20 stores, 20 stores, 20. So when they're ready, it's not about us. It's not about when I'm ready. It's about when the client's ready.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
How do you balance your Australian operation while expanding into Europe?
It's the same to me. It's the same formula. It's a matter of, like I said, we have an office in South Africa, and we're opening up in Europe now. So it's the same formula. Retail is retail. People are people. So when I apply, if it's, like I said, it's a product that we do need in retail. That makes it more optimized. So it's a matter of scaling in that continent, or in part of the world. And I tested the waters first in South Africa, and I thought, yeah, the same thing what you were saying. How will it work? How will the infrastructure work? How will it be perceived? In another part of the country where I'm not. And then you do go over, you travel there, you set up your team, and as long as the process is in place, it will it will work. You need to. It's a technique. It's like with when you do sport or when you do anything else in life. If you've got a great technique, if you've got great processes, and you've got a good team that understand, you have to do A, B, C. You can't do A, D, C. This is how we
Yeah.
do it. So if you've got great processes and you've got a good team behind you, then it's a little bit easier.
Retail technology is evolving rapidly. I get most of the headline, but there is many other technology quietly changing how a store operates, like yours. Could could electronic labels eventually become part of a much broader retail operating system?
Yeah, this is only the tip of the iceberg with ESL. Like we're looking at this is like phase one or step one, where they just change prices. And they can tell us when the inventory is low. They can order the stock for you, and they can observe customer shopping or customer experiences. Like, so if we trigger one of the tags to pulsate or flash, does that attract the attention? And we can sort of say, okay, we can see through the sales when they're pulsating or when they're flashing, have we sold more or less? Is it in the right part of it? Like we're doing this at the moment for pharmaceutical. Why is this pharmacy selling this product more opposed to this store? It's location driven as well. So when the customer walks in, what's the big seller? Don't put it on the bottom shelf or top shelf, somewhere in the corner. This is your hero product. You have to put it in a great location and then market it correctly. So it plays a bigger part than just changing prices.
Yeah, definitely. Every funder has more ideas than time, which means choosing one not to pursue becomes just as important as deciding what to build.
Yeah.
Looking ahead over the next 12 to 18 months, what does success look like for eLabel?
We've got big plans for e-labels, especially expanding to Europe, but Australia is our backyard. So our primary focus, I would say 70 to 80% is driven just for local Australia. And then the other 15, 20% is for offshore. That's not saying that it will, no, I won't put my efforts into offshore. I'll definitely will have practices in place and staff in place. But with ESL, the way I see electronic shelf labels, Lauren, is if a store has ESL and the store, same store, we're comparing apples to apples, and the store next to it doesn't have ESL, they will suffer more than the ones that with ESL because they after 6-8 months they've returned their investment. They're making a profit. They can be more aggressive in the pricing compared to this store. They will always fumble with the wrong pricing, with the increases. And I see this all the time where they're giving stock away because they got the wrong price. And by consumer law, they have to give that product either for free or for the same price, depending what tier or what retail store you're in. So it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when will you bite this, take advantage of this. And that's why it goes back to the first question you were asking, how do I get into this? I saw this potential that it's a market that needs to be nourished. It's a market that has got huge potential and done correctly. It'll be very fruitful. And that's why I think for 2026 and 2027, go back to this question, is that we're driving huge sales at the moment.
Wonderful. What
Yeah.
excites you most about the future of e-labels?
What gets me buzzing is it's not, and we're at the stage now. What excites me is I can pick and choose which clients we want under our banner. Like some of those the big giants, we don't want to even look at them because they'll be not that they're too much work. They don't appreciate what ESL is. They don't appreciate our time. So now we can pretty much say, yes, we want to grow this business. We want to work with this company and we can see the potential. So that's what sort of gets us, or that's what gets me and the management team probably more excited about ESL and the potential that, we can grow. And we're only, when I say young company, is we've been around for a couple of years, but since I think 2021, we started e-labels, but 2010, so 16 years, we've been doing apps, websites, and software development. So we saw a big transition from, doing apps. AI has got a lot involved now. I think a lot of people are savvy about AI. So that excites us as well with what AI, and then we implement that into ESL. So it is connected, Lauren, with our software development and also with ESL.
Yeah, that's right. You have experienced both software development and retail technology
Yeah,
businesses, and that's a valuable, very valuable perspective.
it is. Yeah, because so we see a lot of customers, because we're front facing, we see a lot of customers, and I have a look and I go, your website is the last time it was updated was 2015, 2018. And I thought your website's so old. So we get a lot of inquiries saying, okay, can you do ESL? And then they go, oh, you do software development? Yes, we do. Can you fix up our app? So they might have a retail app. So we fix up their retail app. We fix up their website. So because we can do that, we customize it for that client. So that now they've got a website. So when the website price changes, our tags change. So they can never go wrong now. And so that they did go hand in hand. And it makes sense because we're front facing with the client.
Yeah, I love it because everything like open the door, one product, open the door to another one, to another one, to another one, and I just love it. Okay, then just one last on a personal issue. What advice will you give your younger self when you started in that industry?
Oh, you know what? I don't even, as when you come to a certain age and you sort of look it back, you can't believe that that there was a younger self, because I would probably tell myself, don't work so hard. I find myself working more now than I was before, and I should probably be, but I enjoy it. But I should probably be winding down and enjoying more time. I say that, but then at the same time, I am enjoying, because I do a lot of traveling. I've met a lot of people, different customers, and I would say always, to answer your question, what would I say is, I suppose you have to always be true to yourself and just genuine. But that's how I was before. But never lose hope. I know it's a cliche to say, but you always have to keep that drive going. Never always bank or bet on yourself. If you're betting on someone else, or third party or fourth party, and then you go, why do I fail? That's because you're relying on too many people. But if you bet on yourself, and that's why maybe the beginning, I always had a partner or different business partners, but they didn't see the passion, or they didn't have that same drive as what I did, and it takes longer to achieve something. I'm the sole director, sole proprietor, sole proprietor. So there is no room for error. It's if I fail, it's me.
Yeah, I love it. Len, thank you so much for joining today. I really, really enjoy hearing about your entrepreneurship journey, why you decided to pivot from, towards e-labels, and your perspective about retail, technology, and everything. Like you mix everything. I love it. Thank you so much for sharing your experience and insight with our audience.
Thank you. I hope it's given a bit of clarity, and your viewers can also maybe get something out of this.
Definitely a lot of clarity. And where can people read or get in touch with you and the company?
Just go to our website, which is www.elabels.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for taking the time, and definitely we'll keep the conversation going in another episode or so, and see your growth. Thank you, Len, for taking the time.
Thank you. Okay, cheers.
And that's it for today's episode of AI InterConnect. If you enjoy it, share it with someone who's building the future, or better yet, someone who should be. And until next time, stay curious, stay creative, and keep building. Thanks. Bye bye.